Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Curiocity.
Welcome back, baby.
So happy to have you guys. I know last week, 2 weeks ago, there's a gnat. Sorry, there's a gnat.
It's trying to make out with you.
Yeah.
Just let it happen.
2 weeks ago was kind of a heavy episode. It was about our miscarriage or chemical pregnancy. So if you haven't listened to that, I guess go listen to it.
How have you been on the other side of that? Like, I know you've gotten a lot of people reaching out to you in the DMs and stuff, but like, how is post being out on the internet?
It was good. When I decided I was going to talk about it, I felt the best.
Yeah. Because
I was like, I immediately felt relief knowing I was going to talk about it. And then I recorded the video and I felt a little bit better. And then like I drafted it and then I posted it and I felt neutral, I will say, because then it was out there and it made it more real in a way. So on one hand, it felt good to get it off my chest and also, have comfort from some people, but also now everybody knows my business. So it was,
yeah, you can't really take it back after that.
It was neutral. So yeah, I felt good knowing I was going to. And yeah, I felt pretty good for a couple of days. And then I had a relapse of emotions, as you know, half a week later. And in a way, I'm still even recovering from that. Because that wave of emotions really took me down and physically just beat me up a little bit. So I was a little under the weather from that, but honestly, since then, and that was the end of my, period post, my first period after a miscarriage. I think there was some release that happened too. So yeah, it was just okay. It's just now I'm finally
back to baseline a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just kind of weird.
I feel like there is. I think we would have fallen further away from baseline had we not talked about it, because I think we've opened up even in our conversations at home a lot more. We've been having a lot bigger, better conversations. Yeah. Granted, we also did move a dinner table back into our house, so that always helps.
Totally.
But also I think had we continued not talking about it, it just would have chipped away at the way that we open up to one another and online. And so I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're talking about it, because I feel like
we just couldn't think of anything else to talk about if we did.
Yeah.
If we didn't.
It just would have been constantly rolling around in our heads.
Yeah. Just trying to figure out a way to avoid talking about it, which felt awkward. Felt more painful to try to avoid talking about it. So here we are, though. And we actually are going to talk about some more fertility and cycle things, but more on a positive, or a happier note in a sense. Something that I've mentioned online on my own Instagram is that when I or anyone else or Adam talks about fertility and what we're doing for our fertility and on our trying to conceive journey, anything that is good for your fertility and your hormones is good for your overall health. So it's important information, regardless if you're trying to conceive right now or not. Your fertility and your hormones is a sign of your health, and bettering your health helps your hormones, and bettering your hormones helps your health. So either way you want to look at it, any advice that we're going to give is applicable regardless of where you are in your life.
Yeah. A well-regulated body is good no matter what.
Yeah.
So just as long as you're keeping track of things and you're moving toward happier and healthier practices, I think that's always going to be good.
So to kind of start us off, we're asked what we are doing for our fertility and how we are prepping. And that's something that we kind of mentioned in the last episode together that, we would go down, we would talk about. And so I do kind of want to talk about some stuff that we did. And in order to do that, I have to take us back to a year ago when we went on vegan, and that was a conscious choice and a spiritual choice. Felt like it came from my womb within. It was just saying, you need to be fed, you need to be nourished, you need more calories, girl, you need to enjoy your food.
You need to prioritize your needs.
You got to prioritize your needs. If you're going to be a mom one day, that's going to be a struggle. So you better get on that now. So That being said, we've introduced all foods. If there's any sort of diet that we like kind of go by, is we just avoid as much processed foods as we
possibly can.
Yeah. You know, especially in the house, like what we bring into the home, I think is like important to kind of reflect on what processed foods you have in the home. And we'd have some like dessert like things, and we'll have it every once in a while.
Sure, but even our dessert things are very healthy alternatives to the desserts that most people would have in their houses.
We don't have artificial coloring.
Anything that's like hard for your body to actually be able to work through its system or derive nutrients from, we try to avoid.
We took our skills of reading ingredients as vegans and applied it to, I think, what is even more important now, which is trying to eat as much whole foods as possible. And I think that's really important for fertility, hormones. As a human being, like, honestly, does that even take a genius? No. Like,
you should know what you're eating.
You should know what you're eating. If there's so many ingredients and you don't understand what the ingredients are, then likely it's just not going to be good for you. Like, that's just very basic knowledge.
One of the best shifts that we've made is such a small one, but it was going from whatever we were doing before back to Green Chef. The like meal prep stuff that we've done.
It was the same company. It's the same
Hello
company.
Fresh?
It's HelloFresh. We were doing that. And well, a long time ago we were actually doing Green Chef, but we were doing it when we were vegan and the meals were like fine. It was just expensive for just like a couple plants though.
Yeah.
So we moved on from that. We stopped getting that. And then we're like, you know what? We're eating non-vegan and we need to learn recipes and like we don't know what to cook. So let's get another meal plan.
Because that was always amazing for us.
So then we were like, okay, let's do HelloFresh because it was like more affordable. And yeah, so we did that for a while. And then I realized we had been getting a lot of organic foods. That's kind of the next thing. It's like we eat a lot of organic. And I realized that like 4 meals a week or whatever it was at the time, 3 or 4 meals a week was non-organic coming from HelloFresh. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. Like
it just isn't in alignment with our choices.
It wasn't in alignment. And so I looked into organic meal services and I landed back at Green Chef, which again, it's owned by the same company. It's just like Green Chef prioritizes organic foods. So we started getting that and those meals have been really, really good. This is not an ad, but yeah.
No, it really is. So, I mean, like, honestly, the recipes themselves are different. Like, it just is significantly
better.
More intentional.
There's more like nuts and seeds and different kind of like vegetables with, like before I feel like we were getting literally like carbs and meat. And now it's like lots of colorful vegetables with nuts and seeds and like amazing sauces and yeah, anyway, so really love that. Again, not an ad. Although we will be talking about a couple different like brands because naturally like we're going to tell you about things that we've tried and done. And none of it is an ad except I'm going to throw a little bit of love towards my friend Maddie Miles, who I have been using her Soothe tincture is what it is. It's for hormones. I've been using that since I believe January or February. And that kind of leads me into another question people asked, which we're going to kind of be bopping around a little bit, but because all of this is really about like our hormone friendly fertility journey. But another question I was asked was like, you know, what happened to your cycle? You mentioned that you know, it was a little off this time. Like, what happened? So I want to go back a little bit and say I was taking Soothe, which is a hormone tincture, and I have it right next to me so I could show you guys. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's this tiny little tincture right here.
Just a little bottle.
Cute. Anyway, it's called Soothe. And so it's got amazing stuff in it. It has chast tree extract, which is Vitex. You probably heard of Vitex if you're in like the hormone friendly world. Oh my gosh, Bupal rum root, orange peel, dandelion root, some other things, Dong Quai root, lots of cool things. Anyway, I've been taking that since like February, and like in February, March, April, and then in May, I had 28-day cycles, which was amazing because I had never had exactly 28. It was like 28 or 29 day cycles. And before that, I always had like 32, 33, 34 day cycle was like my average, but sometimes it would go like way, way longer. So I ran out of Soothe early May. Early May. And it was right before I started my period. So normally I take it like every single day, put it in my water every single morning. It's the first thing I do is put this in water and I take my probiotic. And so I ran out of it and I had my period. And if you know things about cycles, which again, I could talk about this, your period is your first day of your cycle, technically. That's what it is. So I didn't have this for any of that cycle in May, right? So if I started my period like whatever, May 10th or something, May 8th, I didn't have this the entire cycle. And it's just, maybe it's a coincidence and maybe it was the stress as well. But that was the first cycle that I didn't ovulate at like a normal time. Like my ovulation kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't taking Soothe. I don't know if it was because I was really stressed in May. Yeah. I don't know if it was because it was our first time trying. We were having a bunch of sex and my body was like, what's going on? Like
we were just change. Everything was kind of changing.
Every single day. Like, calm down, girlfriend. Like what's happening? So things were different. So I can't really say, but I will say that I love this and it definitely doesn't hurt at all. And I am a little superstitious. And so I was like, well, I ran out of that and I had to
never run out again.
So I'm never going to run out again. Yeah. So anyway, did want to talk about that. It's the one thing I said, we're not doing an ad, but I did want to she's like small business. I really want to give her that little shout out.
She makes incredible stuff. It's all so intentionally made.
Yeah, she's incredible. Peace Love Hormones is the company and Soothe is the tincture. So anyway, and yeah, so going back to like fertility, like prep things that we've done. So told you about a year ago with the vegan thing. And then August, so my birthday last year, Adam got me the Oura Ring. And the Oura Ring they have a collaboration with Natural Cycles, which is another app. And honestly, I'm going to say it's annoying because you have to pay for Natural Cycles like monthly. And you have to pay like a little thing for Oura every month. So it's kind of honestly, I will say it's annoying.
It's a racket.
Yeah.
For sure.
It really is. So I am frustrated by that. But also at the same time, I have learned so much about cycles and about my body by having this that I would never not have it.
Oh yeah, no. So it's so helpful.
It's been so
through every part of the process.
Truly, like knowing like when I have ovulated, if I didn't have the Oura Ring / Natural Cycles, I would have never known like when I ovulated when the first time we tried when we got pregnant.
Well, the cool thing that I actually found about reading through your Natural Cycles versus Oura Ring is Natural Cycles specifically tells you exactly where your temperature changes.
Yeah.
Whereas through the Oura Ring app, it only gives you like your temperature is up or it's down or it's around where it usually is. It'll give you like
a 0.1 above, a 0.2 above, 0.3 above, or whatever below. And yeah, so it doesn't. So you kind of like guessing a little bit. And so, yeah, you get like the exact temperature.
Charted data and everything through on Natural Cycles.
So I will say if you've been wondering about getting an Oura Ring, I recommend it. And if you're somebody who is looking to track your cycle, whether you're trying to prevent pregnancy or you're just trying to learn more about your body or trying to get pregnant, like I really do recommend it. I will say that's probably one of my biggest recs for just knowing, and you learn so much because I was like, before it, I didn't know, like as someone who is very research based and loves to learn about, especially my own body. I mean, I was even raised like in a medical family. There's so much that I have learned in the past year to 2 years about the actual menstrual cycle that like I have gleaned from this journey that we've been on, but also because of Oura and Natural Cycles.
Yep.
So
because you have your experience of your body as intimately as you can.
Right.
You're not reading, you're reading data.
Now I'm reading data.
But you're reading data alongside your actual experience. So you can feel what 0.2 degrees higher looks like. You can feel what each part of your cycle is.
Yes.
And when it's like, hey, you're predicted to start this part in 3 days, you're like, oh, yep, there's that feeling. Oh, there's that feeling. There's my temperature
there's
spike.
the acne, or there's my boobs are sore, or there's my like mood swings. Oh, there's my bloating. Like it makes everything make sense, and it makes you feel not crazy. So even if you're just tracking your period and just trying to know your body, like it's really important. Like it's helpful. And I did get a question about like how I track temperature and what that means. And so
I remember a long time ago, you used to have this little circle device and you would take your temperature under your tongue all the time.
I did on tour. Yeah. When I was prepping to get married to somebody else.
What was that thing called? Do you even remember?
No.
It was a little blue thing, and it was so funny and such a cute little thing, but she would not go anywhere without it. But it was always a whole to-do that you had to know where your temperature thing was at. You needed to...
Yeah, I just took it every morning.
Just do it. Yeah.
I didn't even know, I didn't even know at the time what I was doing. I just was doing it. Anyway, because I was like going to get married and I like want to make sure, anyway. So, that's so funny. So I wanted to kind of break this down real quick, just as if you don't know this, I'm just going to give it to you as simply as I can. So in a menstrual cycle, also this has come up because y'all know my friend Kelsey, who she has been on the podcast, she had cervical cancer and she doesn't have a period. However, she does have hormones and she does have her ovaries. And it's something I've like really been encouraging her to get more in touch with like what's going on in her body as a woman who has hormones, who has ovaries. Like just because she doesn't bleed doesn't mean all the other things aren't there. It may be a little different for her, but for the most part, like she can kind of track things and you know, get more in touch with her body. So we've been having these conversations. This girl wouldn't even know, like she said to me, she's like, I wouldn't even know how to put a tampon in. Like it's been like so long. Like she's so far removed from this. So I've been having this conversation with her, which is hilarious because it's me who I'm like, so like, just
everything
in this. And then she's like so far removed from it. So I've been learning how to like break things down in a way that I'm like, okay, here's what's helpful for you. So even if you don't have a period, this can be applicable. Okay. So in a cycle, in a menstrual cycle, like I mentioned, the first day of your cycle, and cycle isn't just your period. People say like, oh, I'm on my cycle. No, your cycle is the entire thing from the moment you start your period, right? The moment you start your period, that's your first day of your cycle to the day before your next period. That is a cycle, okay? So there are 4 phases of a menstrual cycle. When you're menstruating, which is your period, and you bleed, and it's usually 1 to 5 days, okay? And then let's just say you have a perfect 28-day cycle, which most people, not a lot of people do, okay? But let's just say you do just for like example sake, right? So let's say you have a period. That's your first 5 days of your cycle. Then from day 6 to day 13, you're in your luteal phase. And in your luteal phase, and in your menstrual, so in your period and luteal phase, your temperature is below your baseline. It's below your average, if you will. Then you only ovulate on 1 day. People say there's ovulation phase, and that's for people who are like, you know, trying to get pregnant or trying to not get pregnant. Basically, it's because sperm can live in you for up to 5 days. So there's like wiggle room during that luteal phase. But on the real, you only ovulate 1 day. So again, imagining that you have a perfect 28-day cycle, that means on day 14 or 15, just depending on how, really everybody's different, you are ovulating. Now, the day after you ovulate, your temperature usually, it's again not perfect, but let's just say it is a perfect cycle. The day after you ovulate, your temperature will rise. And then you will have a risen temperature for 2 weeks. Usually it's pretty spot on, about 14 days, until you start your period again, and you'll know your period is coming, or you pretty much know your period is coming because your temperature will drop. And it'll be a signal that, you know, whatever. Now, the temperature changes because our hormones are constantly changing throughout the cycle, and that your hormones affect your temperature. So anyway, I was trying to explain to her. I was like, so yes, your first half of your cycle, your temperature's low, and on the second half, your temperature's high.
Mm-hmm.
And I say half just because, yeah, it's like 14 days on either side, just about. Now, there's so much more I could go into that, but that's like the gist. I wanted to kind of go over that. And the reason why Kelsey's going over it too, not why, but how she is she got a ring. She didn't get the Oura Ring, but it's another one that tracks her temperature, and she wants to know her hormones. So it's like, okay, you can't go off of a first day you bleed, but you can go off of your temperature to know what's going on. So she's tracking it now, and we're going to go over together with her once she like tracks it for a while. I'm going to help her dissect it, and I'll be like, oh, hey, look, your temperature's higher than your baseline here. Uh-huh. Here's when you likely ovulated the day before. Uh-huh. And then here's the day that your temperature dropped from after several days, even a couple of weeks of it being high. Okay, that's probably the day that your body is having a quote unquote period, or started your quote unquote period. So anyway, I say all that because this truly does affect everyone. Mm-hmm. And we all know people who have periods, and we all know people who have cycles. And I think it's just important that we all like have a better understanding, because we are not taught this in school. And like I said, I even was in a medical family, and I didn't fully understand this. I didn't know our temperatures changed. Like, I didn't know all that.
I think a lot of the like 4-cycle split information has been coming out like super recently. I mean, not that the information's been like just discovered, but it's been a little bit more socialized.
Well, women are really trying to take charge of their fertility. Yeah. And their bodies, because it's just...
Well, I think their health in general, because that's obviously such a...
Yeah.
It's such an indicator of where you are in your entire life. Like, your life will constantly be on this cycle.
Yeah. And when you're not in a season of fertility, then there's premenopause, there's menopause, like especially girls, we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it's important to know, and this is the season I'm in now, and I think a lot of you are as well. So, anyway, so I wanted to go over that. Now, some other things that we've done to kind of help our fertility has been, although we just had like a tiny bit of wine, we did cut back. When I got the Oura Ring back in August, I noticed anytime I would drink alcohol, my my heart rate would like go up.
You'd lose so much sleep.
My sleep wouldn't be as good. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in a way.
Yeah, and you're like, I want to score high. You're at least competitive with yourself.
I'm very competitive. So I'm like, all right, I want a high sleep score, readiness score. So I got to cut out alcohol. And then also went into the fertility prep, whatever. This is good for your health to like cut back on alcohol and to prioritize sleep. And that's another thing, like prioritizing sleep has been huge. Like if you have too much stress going on in your body can't regulate its hormones. That's a whole thing. So sleep, I've been getting up every day at like 6:04.
6:04.
That's my alarm time.
Yeah.
And when I first started getting up at 6:04.
Such a random time. That's so you that you would just wake up at a random time every day, though.
I woke up even on the weekends at 6:04 because I wanted to keep the consistency, because I am not a morning person at all.
And you didn't want to feel like weekdays were a punishment.
Yeah, I didn't. Yes. And I was like, you know what? I might as well get up at early on our weekend so we can spend that much time together.
Yeah.
So it just kind of made sense for me to do that. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Like I'm kind of like waking up semi-naturally. Why don't I just set a safety alarm? So I would set safety alarms to make sure I didn't sleep till like 10, but then I wanted to see on the weekend how much my body actually wanted to sleep. And when I started doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually only sleeping like either until 6:04, even a little before sometimes a little after. My body was getting like regulated to that. And now
you're just a full-blown morning person.
Set an alarm. And now I'm a full-blown morning person, which is Adam can attest.
It is a miracle.
I was not a morning person. Even when we were first first got married, I was like getting up at like 10:30.
I know.
And the thing is, I'm not somebody who is getting up at 6:04 and going to bed at 11. That's Adam. He's a morning person to where like he can get up in the morning no matter how much sleep he's gotten or not. I am not. I wouldn't consider myself a morning person unless I got enough sleep.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at this point,
you're a responsible morning person.
At this point, I'm just like not a night person anymore. I'm like, I am tired now and I need to go to bed if I'm going to get at 6:04, up at 6:04.
She starts looking at the clock around 7:20. Like, all right, well.
I'm like, oh, well.
What other things do we got to knock out before I go to bed at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, not 8 o'clock. But sometimes, yeah, I'll go to bed at like 8:15.
Yeah.
For the most part, lately, it's like 9:30. So, but I was going to bed like really, really early when I first started getting up. I think a consistent sleep schedule is really important for your hormones. Also helps you track your temperature.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and you trusting that you could go to sleep early without missing out on like life so that you could become a morning person.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, no, I have to be able to do these things. Like if this is what I'm going to do, I have to still maintain my sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So basically it's like after all is said and done, I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed. Like I don't need to stay up for like no good reason. Like I'm just going to go sleep. So that's been big. Adam has been trying to get better at his sleep. He's sometimes up a little later than I'd like him to be, but
I can't prioritize doing like random work things when I'm home with you. Like if you're awake and I have the ability to hang out with you in the like 4 hours that we get a day, basically, I'm not going to waste that doing things. And if I know I can stay up later, I'll just stay up later and do them at night.
However, whenever it's like ovulation week,
you're always like, no, you need your good sleep.
I'm like, you need to go to bed early. Like you need to make sure you go to bed with me so that when we wake up in the morning and have sex, you're ready to go. Yeah. So
not fully exhausted.
And again, I say ovulation week because it's like the week or so leading up to ovulation, but because my ovulation is sometimes delayed.
Sometimes it's ovulation 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks.
So sometimes it's like fun for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is why
the party rages on.
Which is why I got clear blue ovulation tests. And that helps. Cause I mean, as much as like we love having sex, but like having sex with like something else in mind for like multiple days in a row, it does become a little taxing. So
sure, yeah.
So I got these tests to know like, okay, we can just
kind of relax and have fun with this.
Yeah, when is my LH peaking? When is it not? Like, yeah, we just keep it more chill. But
the biggest thing that we've found is that we've made all the decisions that we need to stay healthy, and now it's make the decisions we need to mitigate stress. And for a little while, we were so focused on making sure that we weren't drinking and that we were getting enough sleep, and we were just being so militant and rigid about the stuff that we needed to do to be healthy that it was causing us a little bit of stress on just our daily lives. And now we're just trying to kind of loosen the reins a little bit.
Yeah. So I wouldn't even have wine in the house like before. And now I'm like, okay, let's like have it like once a week. It's fine.
Yeah. We have like a bottle that we kind of nurse for like a week and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
Mostly a quarter of a glass or something on like a Friday night.
Or when we're recording. So yeah, that's been a major aspect. We've been working out. Adam's doing Krav Maga.
We're drinking decaf.
Oh, that's big. Okay, so I don't think there's anything that caused necessarily the miscarriage. Like I really don't. But one thing I added on that cycle was like having coffee, which I hadn't had coffee in months. And as we were trying to conceive that ovulation week, 2 weeks, I was drinking coffee every morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what?
We were just having cute mornings, okay? I was just making her coffee.
Looking back on it, I was like, you know what? They do say to lower your caffeine intake when you're trying to conceive. There's like things about like it putting stress on the uterus. I don't fully know. I don't think that's like, again, I don't think it was a cause, but now like moving forward too, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need full octane coffee. Like I just like the experience of coffee. So yeah, we've been getting decaf.
Yeah. Good stuff too.
Yeah. That being said, somebody asked about what decaf we've been
like mold
drinking.
free, remineralized, like water process or sugarcane process coffee.
So we've had Purity coffee and Danger, and we like Danger more.
Purity is way cuter. Their branding, their aesthetic, way better.
Danger is not cute.
Danger looks like, well,
it's very man
coffee, but it tastes like cherries because it's like super fruity still.
It tastes like, really good.
As coffee consumers, we definitely prefer Danger. We used to be very specific and particular about our coffee. And I think lately we just appreciate good coffee.
So that's, so we've like drawn back on our caffeine intake. And I've been lifting weights and making sure I get enough steps in. I think whenever I'm in my 2-week wait, which is after ovulation, and I'm like, am I pregnant? Am I not? This past time I like didn't work out at the gym, and I think it was like bad for my mental health. So this next go round, I will be in the gym. I just will like do light weights.
Yeah.
And again, just like prioritize walks. However, that's how you should kind of go about your cycle anyway. So when your temperature is higher, so it's after you've ovulated until your period, technically, like what people say is you should go easier during those weeks, especially the week leading up to your period. So even if you are pregnant or not pregnant, trying to get pregnant or not trying to get pregnant, it's kind of the same rules applied for all of it.
Well, and all the symptoms are the same.
Pretty much all the symptoms are the same.
There's not really any telling any difference. So you may as well just keep doing the same thing.
It's so crazy. Yeah. So the week like leading up to ovulation, so your luteal phase, so the week after your period is like when you can like really rev up your workouts and like go harder and whatever. But then it's like kind of after ovulation, you start tapering it down. And then that week before your period, you really, really like taper it down. And that's the same thing that people recommend for your 2-week wait while you're like gonna like get pregnant or not kind of things. So it's so crazy that it's literally all the same. It's like
just start calming down, cooling down, nesting. Just get ready for whatever's about to happen.
Yeah.
You either need to chill because that's what people used to do is just chill when they were on their period, or you need to be nesting because you're starting to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So either way, just like chill and vibe for a minute.
It's seriously so crazy. Someone asked what prenatal I'm using, and I've been using Perelel. I think they're so great. They come in packets, so it's not just a prenatal. So in their little packet, it's a prenatal. It is COQ10 because I have the preconception pack. COQ10, folate, your DHA and I think EPA is what you call it. And I also take their probiotic. And for a while, Adam was taking their men's preconception as well. And not that he wouldn't. Again, it's just, it is expensive. So we
had to prioritize which ones we were going to get.
Yeah, we had to just like prioritize. But those were great too. And now Adam, since he's not on it, he's still taking a COQ10 that I got at the store.
Nordic
Naturals DHA.
Yeah.
A zinc,
vitamin D.
Those are literally all the things.
I have a multivitamin. It's like a men's multivitamin.
And that's literally like basically what was in his like preconceived pack anyway. So we kind of like
it's just a deconstructed vitamin.
It really is. So he has like a bunch of them he's taking. We're also taking some mushrooms by Superfeast. We're taking ashwagandha. People have recommended that. There's a couple others that are like blends that we're taking as well, but like micro mini doses of them. But yeah, so we're doing that. Perelel is great. Ritual is another good option. It's just like 2 pills. I just like Perelel how when I do get pregnant, there's a first trimester packet, there's a second trimester, third trimester, postpartum.
Yeah.
You know, I like that it's like tailored. Not a lot changes, but I still like that there is like other things in it. Like it just kind of covers all bases and like
You're like, you're paying as much attention as I am. This is good.
Yeah, it takes all the question and like the work out of it. And I do like that it's folate and not folic acid that they have.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay, I'm trying to think if there's any more things we need to cover, or if this has been very educational, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything except for the one thing that keeps us going with slow release caffeine and making sure we always got our vitamin C supplements and all of our
Pique.
all of that stuff is we have always had
Pique.
And it's amazing. It's so good to have. We have the liposomal vitamin C that we take all the time that just makes sure that our health is good, because like that's the biggest thing that, especially right now, that we're kind of watching out for is making sure that we're not having like some random sickness that's throwing off your temperature or just kind of like screwing with a cycle. And
that's
I swear to God, like since we've started taking Pique, like what, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Consistently,
we
always
haven't gotten sick.
I have not had an actual sickness other than COVID.
Yeah, but dude, that was a while ago when you had it.
That was a long time ago. That was like when it was actually a problem.
Yeah. So
knock on wood, wherever.
We take liposomal vitamin C from them. My green tea that I drink every day is Pique.
It's a fermented pu'er green tea.
The one I'm taking right now is not.
Oh, that's the mint one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I ran out of that one.
The BT fountain
but the fermented pu'er is my favorite.
The goat.
And then the BT fountain is an electrolyte drink that also has hyaluronic acid. We love that. Seriously, there's so many teas from Pique that.
The one that I was doing for a long time was the mushroom blend that I take at work instead of drinking coffee. The Nandaka. Yeah, that stuff is awesome. It's so good.
So and that stuff's great. Like it's great for
so good
hormones. For you. Yeah, that's it has both the black and the green tea fermented pu'ers in there.
Tons of mushrooms, tons of like roots and all sorts of superfoods.
Yeah. So kind of going on that nutrition, just like kind of
that's like the daily
full circle. I do drink bone broth, and in my bone broth I put colostrum, and the brand that I use is Wonder Cow. They're amazing. For sure I have a code somewhere. Actually, I have code for a lot of these things. The tincture that I was telling you about, the Peace Love Hormones Soothe tincture, use code Curiocity for 10% off. I do know that one's Curiocity. For Perelel, the prenatal, use Lauren Deliri 15 for 15% off. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm like remembering all these right now. Wonder Cow, I don't remember what it is, honestly. So I'll look at that for you guys. And I'll try to include it in the show notes so you guys can check it out. What other brands did we talk about that I might have a code for them?
I think that's it.
Okay, I think that's it.
I mean, unless you've got something with Superfeast.
Yeah, I do. Actually.
We'll find it all and we'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll link it in the show notes. I'm sure it's probably like Lauren Deliri 15 or Lauren D15. I don't even know.
We need to streamline that.
Yeah, so for sure. But anyway, I do love all of them. I'm using all of them.
So many of them have been friends for a while. So many of them have been on the podcast even. So if you want to go back to their episodes, they give you a way deeper dive into like all the benefits of the stuff that we use on a daily basis. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a code. Yeah, like Aura and Natural. I don't have the code for them.
I don't have codes for those.
But maybe I should reach out. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's it. I think, all these things, like I said, are helpful. Whether or not you are trying to conceive, whether or not you have a period, like these things are applicable. Hope this was good for you guys. It was good for me. Was it good for you?
Yeah, good for me. I always have a good time.
Yeah, we can talk more on the actual like baby making era of it, like that side of it. What we're doing for like those details. Maybe sometime.
What positions,
time of day, how like laying, like all those little things. If you guys have those questions, just like DM us and we're open books. So,
duration. You just ask
all the things. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you guys. Stay curious. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.